When I was 14, I planned my wedding.
This one's wife. Harry can't stand her. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Irrespective of what you might think about Harry, he is the victim of a narcissist. His wife is a narcissist, and he has been ensnared by her. As a combination of her manipulative wiles and his own emotional thinking, he has been caught up in the fog of confusion, unable to understand why she behaves the way that she does, why she's inconsistent in some of the ways that she behaves towards him and other people. He's not able to work out why she treats him the way that she does, sometimes lavishing praise on him and plenty of spicy poontang, other times ignoring him, shouting and screaming at him. It leaves him confused. Part of that is as a consequence of his lower cognitive function, but it's largely as a consequence of the emotional thinking that he suffers from, which makes it hard for him to understand what he's actually dealing with. Notwithstanding this, even though he may not be able to understand what is driving his wife's behaviour, it doesn't mean that he has to like it. We all saw, for instance, how he looked less than pleased when she engaged in the disgusting faux curtsy in relation to his late grandmother. We have seen before where he's expressed displeasure when she kept turning around on the Buckingham Palace balcony, where he kept indicating for her to turn around, which of course she did not like. Harry has strong narcissistic traits, high levels of anger, resentment, defiance, argumentativeness, and they will come to the fore, especially when his own emotional empathy is eroded by an external stressor. The external stressor could be, for instance, alcohol, drugs, fatigue, financial concerns, illness, loneliness, pressure at work. Those are all factors which can impact upon a person to reduce their emotional empathy, with the consequence that they behave in a less civil or even downright unpleasant manner towards somebody else, even possibly occasioning physical violence upon another person. The most common external stressor when it comes to the narcissistic dynamic is abuse, whereby the victim of the narcissist, having been subjected to sustained and prolonged abuse, has their own emotional empathy withdrawn and reduced so that they end up fighting back as against the narcissist. Sometimes this can be by entering into a huge argument with the narcissist. In other instances, it might be standing one's ground and not giving in the way that one once did. In other instances, it might be walking off and no longer tolerating the tirade of the narcissist. In some instances, as I've just mentioned, it might even be resorting to physical violence. For Harry, there's doubtless been occasions where he has become sick and tired of his wife's behaviour. Not only the way that she treats him, but the way that she conducts herself in public, which is contrary to the way that he has been brought up. For all of his faults, Harry knows how you should conduct yourself when meeting people and going to events, and his wife's behaviour at times, often crass, in your face and unnecessary, undoubtedly will jar with him. Notwithstanding the number of times whereby she will suggest to him, "You're too uptight, Harry, it's better to be a hugger, we don't need to be like those distant white colonialists of your family. Instead, let's be warm, let's be of the people." Of course, that's all just a form of manipulation of both the people and of Harry to make him do what she wants. Irrespective of that, Harry ultimately will have instances where it becomes too much. And I'm about to show you an instance on the Columbia tour where his wife's interference once again irks him. There's just a flash of it, but it's certainly there that demonstrates that at certain times Harry simply can't stand her. Here comes the footage. So, what have you witnessed there? Well, it's on the Columbia tour, and Harry initially is talking to some ladies and a man. It's unclear what they're talking about, and it's not particularly relevant. It looks like he's doing an impression of a tiger at first. But this one's wife isn't involved in the conversation, and Harry, whilst it might be putting it a little bit steep to suggest that he's enjoying himself, he's certainly not displeased by the interaction that he's experiencing with these people. But then along comes the spider. And you'll have watched the footage slowed down and then slowed down even further to accentuate the point. This one's wife immediately interferes in the conversation. She interrupts. This is because of her sense of entitlement and her lack of boundary recognition. Once again, there is the direct physical assertion of control over Harry as she places a hand on his back. And as Harry turns, having been interrupted, and you will have seen this in the even more slowed down version, look at the expression on his face. He has a face like thunder. He doesn't say anything to her, but you can tell that he is particularly pissed off with the interruption and her barging her way in once again. She, of course, is oblivious to his reaction because she's not looking at him, and also she doesn't believe that she's doing anything wrong by interrupting because her narcissism tells her that it's appropriate for her to take such a step. Thus, she interrupts. Harry looks particularly cheesed off and then turns away. He gathers his composure once again for the purposes of a photograph, as this one's wife sticks herself in the centre, as predictable enough, and fixes rictus grin. Harry looks about himself, smiling, and then notices that he's being filmed and gives a nod of acknowledgement to whoever is doing that. But the point is that you could see very clearly that moment, and it is only for a moment, that Harry has a face like thunder, that he cannot stand the way that she bosses him around in public. He knows that it's embarrassing and humiliating. He puts up with it, but there are instances where even he can't keep it hidden. And as you've just seen, he has the look of displeasure across his face as a consequence of yet another interruption and telling him where to stand from his wife. It might not be the case that he said anything more about it, but it is demonstrated by his response in that moment that he simply cannot stand the way that she treats him at times. This is a common response for the victim of the narcissist. Whether it means he'll go on to do anything about it remains to be seen. But it's demonstrative of the fact that even Harry can't keep his true feelings hidden in public when once again she orders him around, interrupting his conversations, making him feel like the spare. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.